comes to the one about don't assume they weren't really saved for the. We've had former Christians on this show before, and that's something that the listeners often suggest afterwards. They say, "Oh, well, they can't really have been a Christian," and that might slightly be because very often they are so, as it were, on the other end of the spectrum. And in a way, that's interesting about your story, is that you've kind of gone from being very ardent Christian to now writing atheist blogs, doing the atheist meetups, the secular communities and whatever. I mean, in a sense, why the big swing to the other side? And that may be where some people are coming from when they say, well, they've obviously rejected something that they didn't really hold on to in the first place if they can go that far in the other direction. I wonder if that's where it's coming from.
No, for sure. And I try to understand personally why they would say such a thing, because really, if you look at the implications behind that, you were never a real, authentic believer in the first place. There's so many implications on my own integrity when someone says that. So the first 27 years of my life, I was basically living a lie. And it's interesting because there's a verse in the Bible that says, by their fruits you shall know that they're believers. And I had those fruits. Like, I was out there, I attended Bible college, I baptized people, I taught the gospel, I knew the gospel. But as I said in the first half of the program, it was these small steps away from faith. And so you characterize this, Justin, as a big swing, but it really wasn't that big swing. It was that series of steps slowly away until I realized I wasn't. So I understand when believers say to me, "You never were a real Christian," because in a way I see that as a type of coping mechanism for them, because it comforts them to think, I can never do that. I never want to be an atheist, and so if I tell her she was never a real Christian in the first place, that means I won't have that chance of losing my own faith. And so I understand that, but I just would hope that people would also understand the implications of what it is they're saying. I'm not offended at the fact that you don't think I'm a Christian. I'm offended at the fact that you thought that I had no integrity and was just faking it for so long.
I think that's a really brilliant point, and every Christian should be taking everything that Rebekah has just said on board. I mean, theologically and biblically, I actually find it a little bit interesting anyway, because the book of Hebrews talks about people falling away. So theologically, we've still got the opportunity for people who really were committed Christians to actually fall away. So
I guess you hold that intention, though. Another person might bring up that verse about those who went out from us were never part of us. And so, as with many parts of Scripture, there are passages you hold in tension. But
indeed,
yeah.
as to whether that passage in John is talking about every single person, though, or just the people who went out from us that actually weren't Christians. I just think there is the possibility there, and I think that's why there are warnings. Don't fall away. It suggests that there is actually the possibility that that's the case. And I think you're absolutely right, Rebekah. There's a track record there of your Christian history that suggests that you were there, and you were following with all of your heart as much as you could possibly do so. I guess I'm spiraling back to this issue of reciprocity, and then something you talked about in relation to that was Jesus and love, because the only question would be there as to whether it was the kind of, I guess, the Jesus that you understood. Can you describe, I guess, how, apart from Jesus being the sacrifice for sins, how much at a practical level was Jesus, say, preached in your church, or really, really, I guess, a motivating part of your life? His life, and see, I'll give you a bit of context to my question. When I first became a Christian, looking back, I see that not only were the majority of the sermons that I heard, but the majority of my spiritual reading was primarily actually in the epistles. It was out of Paul's writings. It wasn't so much out of the Gospels. It was only in later years that I discovered these Gospels, and I discovered the life of Jesus for himself. I don't know whether your experience matches mine, but I think for a number of people it has, where Jesus was only, I guess, presented as the fulfillment of our problem with God, kind of a mechanical saviour. I'm a sinner, I need to be facing judgment, Jesus takes the judgment for me, and that was it. Was that your experience? Was yours like mine, or was yours broader?
Well, you see, I had several different church experiences, and so I probably could relate more to what you said in terms of the focus on the epistles and not so much of a focus on Christ when I was maybe in my earlier years in the church. But again, as I started to explore, I stopped calling myself a Christian and started calling myself a Jesus follower. right? Because I was so motivated by what he said. There's this whole movement of the red letter Christians, people who really look to Jesus as the basis of their theology. So I did take part in that.